Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the game Into the Breach. I'm going to be looking at the new player experience or the first time user experience, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I feel like are done really well in the new player experience, and some of the things that I probably I might have done differently if this would have been me. Like we go from just starting out, selecting and creating a character, and we go all the way into reaching a point where where the player itself is at a point where we understand how to play the game and are ready to jump into the campaign. So let's jump into the new player experience. So this is the first time user experience. So I haven't created a user just yet, but one of the things that I noticed here is that like I start the game up, I get a loading screen, which is really cool. I go into this intro transition where like we pan and we see the background image, and we pan and then we see the robot, but then we pop up this select profile window right away, which I think kind of takes me out of the the experience of starting the game. Like I did this a couple of times when I was looking at this before, and I thought, okay, so it's a really cool way of introing the world, seeing all of these cool things, but as a new player, you're going to be ripped out of it right away by popping into the select profile window here. So I think this was a pretty big missed opportunity, but let's just then follow along, and we are going to select a profile. It's going to give us the option, like we can see there are 3 available slots here, and I can only create a profile in the first one. I noticed that we normally, or a lot of times in games, your profile is just going to be your Steam account or something like that, but in this case it's asking me to actually create a profile, and I'm guessing based on how this is being presented that I can have these 3 slots, so like save games, which is cool. So I'm gonna do, it's gonna give me a name. The first name, the generated name is just called Alpha. I'm just gonna change that into Gisli. And here I can either select tutorial tips or not. And this is another thing that I'm not a huge fan of this. Like, why am I being asked to select the tutorial tips in this context? So I doubt that it's going to have much of an effect on my actual run. Because right now when I'm just creating the profile, I don't feel like this is a decision that I have to make right away. Because now if I press create, I get kind of added to the main screen, and now finally I get to see the cool graphic that I was being teased on before. And this is a really cool graphic when you start looking at it. I mean, the music is kind of dark, somber music. Something really sad has happened, very Terminator-y. You can see this big robot here. You can see the wasteland, or the kind of the ruined city. Power infrastructure here, like the power plants here, and then this tiny human figure is on this image, and they're looking over. So there's looking over. So there's this kind of sense of adventure, or like starting something out, which I think is really cool. But I feel like it got ruined a little bit by popping up this window to create the profile right away. So let's take a look at what we have right now. Nothing really big stands out here, but if I put myself in the mind of a new player, I start thinking, okay, so like, what do I want to do? What's my motivation? Like, I want to start playing the game. So everything here should really be pulling me towards starting the game and actually hooking me. So what I noticed is that here on the top left here, I noticed that the first button that I see under the title is grayed out. So it gives me the it does tell me that there's going to be a point where I continue something, but the first option when I'm just reading this UI is grayed out, so I can't do the step that would be the most natural to me, which is the first option here. Which I think is a little bit of a mistake. Like, it would have been, I think it would have been much better to just hide this when this is not available. Like, there's nothing that I can continue right now. So this is something that we could just get rid of and make the kind of the transition into the game easier. Then if I just follow it along, new game, options, credits, and quit. And I also here at the bottom I have profile and I have achievements and statistics. So we have these kind of 4 buttons here, and all of them have the same weight. So there's nothing pulling me in. There's nothing being called out. I mean, I can obviously press the new game button. I can read this, but ideally, I'd want this to be a little bit highlighted. Like, this is where I want my players. Like, I want all of my players to press the new game button right now, because if something happens, if someone goes into the options menu and like gets a little bit confused or presses credit or something like that, like there are definitely not a lot. Like, most people are going to get this, but there are some areas here where you can have players. They would just say, okay, screw this. I'm not going to play. Another thing that I noticed here on this screen is that like all of these buttons have the same weight, but then I have these 2 buttons here at the bottom, the achievements and statistics, and these are smaller. It's a little bit interesting. Maybe they are deemed to be less important on this screen. Profile is more important than achievements and statistics, but I'd probably argue that at this point the credits should probably also be kind of smaller. But yeah, it's something that I noticed. But before we start the game out, like, there's another thing that I wanted to highlight when I was just looking at this menu here. So if I go into the options menu here, you have a bunch of these windows and settings that you can play around with, and I can close it down here. I have the credits window. Now I have to press any key to continue, and if I go into the profile window, now there is no close button here. So when I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, so I'm just taking a look at these. Now I've been presented with 3 different types of ways to actually exit out of this window, exit out of these windows. So the options window had a close button, the credits window had a press any key to continue, and now the scary thing here that I noticed is that now I'm in the profiles button, and I have an X here, and a lot of the times an X at the top right of in the top right corner of a window means close the window. So I press this, and I'm presented with the delete profile window, because when I look closer, I can see that this is the delete button for this kind of field here, or this profile, but there's no close window here. So I have to just click somewhere else to exit it. And then here we have a close window and a close window. So this is another thing that's really important when you're designing something like this. It's to make sure that we keep a consistent kind of language. We are teaching a player to go through your sequence, and anytime there's an option to where you have to learn something new, or something is not done the same way as before, you run the risk of people misunderstanding it and people dropping out of your game. So so these are just some of the things that I noticed right here on the starter screen. But let's jump into the game now and take a look at the next steps. Okay, so let's jump into the game. So we press new game, and we get a little bit of a sequence. Okay, so there's a robot here, an AI unit, VAC threat, mission failed, there's a blinking button. Yeah, okay, so there's a lot going on here. You can see that the robot unit was talking. You could see the pilot was talking. There was an AI there, but the problem here for me is that this was all happening really, really fast, and there was no way for me to control the pacing of this. So I was trying to talk on top of this, but I didn't realize that there was I wasn't going to be able to do it. So now I've reached this screen, and I'm not 100% sure what happened. Like the character that I have down here, the time traveler, like this is a new concept to me. Was that introduced in the intro there? So I think it's really important when doing a sequence like this, especially in the beginning, to give the players the ability to control the pace of it. So in this case, this just kind of passed by, and now I reached this location, and I'm feeling a little bit bad about it because like I'm really invested in this. I think I thought this was a cool idea, but now I missed something. So if I go back and I press new game again, like I'm not being presented with the intro sequence again. So to me, I've missed a crucial piece of information about the game, and yeah, and I feel a little bit bad about it. So here there's an opportunity to actually go, if you just give the player the ability to step through the sequence, just have each one of these sequences the ability to just to step through it, and then I could read it, and then I could reach this screen a little bit more confident, because there's a lot of things happening here in the beginning. So now again, we have two options here at the top. We have back and start, and this is yet another way that the game kind of presents you with a way to go back or close. Back before in the screen that we were looking at earlier, this was here at the bottom, and start button at the top left. I would probably much rather had it somewhere closer to the center of the screen, maybe middle center, because this is where your eyes are going to be. Your eyes are rarely going to be kind of go up here, and especially because the coloring of the font here, or the text, is the same as everything else. So the start button doesn't really stand out. So you're brought to this screen, you have all of this information, and your goal as a game developer, or your goal is still trying just to get the player into the action. And we reach this point here, and there's a lot of information, and a lot of this information is not going to be relevant to you or make sense to you until you've played the game a couple of times. So you want the player to kind of just glimpse this, just get the just an overview of this, just look at this, be teased a little bit about, like we have the Rift Walkers here. Like right now, I don't know what this is. I know this is like I have some icons here at the top, like I have 3 units here, and I have colors and names and customization, which is cool. I have some tutorials here, but these are really difficult to understand unless you've actually played the game. But it's a really cool screen, because it also gives you the player the ability to explore and kind of theorize. And here, the Watery Grave achievement, or Watery Grave mission, that's here. This is giving me a hint that there's going to be water at some point. So this is a really cool kind of screen for you to stop a little bit and start exploring and thinking. Okay, so it's a combat mech, a cannon mech, and an artillery mech. There is some. Here is the first kind of mention of an enemy, and you can see some behaviors. This is really cool, like these really short kind of sequences showing you how something works, but it's a lot of information that you'll be giving right in the beginning. And if we look here on the left here, we can see we have a time traveler, and this is a concept that hasn't really been introduced before, time traveling. The time traveler has a name. He has a mech here. Cool thing here is that the time traveler this is the same mech as we saw in the intro sequence. So we can kind of make a connection here that maybe this is the guy that was standing earlier on the the image blinks, which I think is really cool. So it is animated, not just static. We can rename the pilot, give it a new name, which kind of hints at the storyline. This is probably not going to be a hugely relevant character for the storyline if you can rename them. You can change a time traveler. So this just tells me that there's a whole bunch of time travelers, and I can see by some of the silhouettes that these aren't all human. I think this is some sort of a bug. And again, here this is one of my big pet peeves here. Here there's a new way for me to close this window here, so I have to just click and exit somewhere else. I can change squad. Here we can see there's a bunch of these just all sorts of information, multiple pages. So this screen gives me a lot of information, and the risk here is, while this is really cool, the risk here is that you might be confusing your player a little bit too much. Like, you want them, I haven't seen any of the game yet, like I've just been presented with a whole bunch of information. But all in all, I'm super excited to jump in. Like all of this information is on is what I want to like why I want to play this game. So let's just start and jump into the game. All right. So this, I believe, is something that was added in one of the later parts of the releases of the game. So here I can select if I want to have missions or enemy units or pilot abilities. The game is a little bit old. I mean, it's a few years old, so they've added some really cool advanced things to them. So I'm not going to turn on any of the advanced abilities. I'm just going to play in normal mode. But here and now the start button and the cancel button have moved, and now this is a cancel button, not a close button. So if I cancel, so there's another small inconsistency here. But here, this is where I would have expected me to make the choice if I wanted the tutorials to be on and off. But I picked this on my profile in the beginning. So but this is where I feel like I should have been presented with a choice if I want to start the game off with the tutorials or not. But let's just jump in. Cool animation. They are being deployed, and I'm being and I go to a world map. This is really cool. I get like I can see that there are 3 unavailable islands here. I can see my units here on the left. There's a bar here at the top that I don't know anything about. There's a settings window here. So I'm probably not supposed to go here, but this is also another point where I'm presented with this screen here, but now there's nothing that calls out to me what I'm supposed to do next. I can think a little bit, and I can just look at it, and I can see, okay, so there are 4 icons here. 3 of them are unavailable, so I'll naturally move my mouse over to this one, and then I get this pop-up here. Here I get some information when I hover this. This museum island recreates old Earth as it was before the oceans rose and nearly wiped out all humanity. Really, really cool to get some kind of hints at the backstory. This is called Archive Inc. I see a threat scanner. So here I'm supposed to make a choice, but now it's not super, like nothing is telling me what my next action is. So I'm going to naturally just click this, but this is here on the hover. So here I would probably add a kind of a graphic overlay that, like, once I hover over this, that it's going to tell me click to go ahead. So if I click this, I get moved over here. We get a little bit more storyline. If you're from the future, you'll find our island even further back in time than you expected. So they keep referencing the time kind of lore part, which I think is it's really cool. So I really like that I'm getting these little pieces of information about the backstory. It's like not completely in your face. So like I'm just unlocking this bit by bit, and every time that I do something new and I approach something new, I'm piecing together the backstory. If not for the VAC, and I think this is the first time that they've mentioned the VAC, and I don't know what this is, but I have a feeling this is an enemy. So I'd love to give you a tour of Old Earth's relics. Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm being thrown into what I believe is the new player experience, or the tutorials. There's a combat simulation available to get new commanders up to speed with mechanized combat. Would you like to launch the simulation? So I can do start, I can do decline, and I can do I know what I'm doing, hide all future tutorial tips. So I probably would not have given the player these 3 options. So these are 3 options that are all a little bit different. So start simulation here says, okay, so start simulation, decline the offer, and then no, I know what I'm doing, had all of the tutorial tips. So I would probably have just had 2 options. Would you like to launch the simulation, accept or decline, or start simulation or decline simulation, or something like that. And if you decline it, then I would have popped up a message saying, so since you declined the simulation, would you want to hide all tutorial tips? Because this is yeah, you don't need to be presented with these three options here. But we're gonna jump into start the simulation. Okay, simulation started. A new screen, player turn. Okay, so this is the power grid. Whenever a building is damaged, it will be reduced. This is what delivers power to your max. So if it's reduced to 0, you lose. Okay, so we right away get presented with the lose condition. Like, how do I lose? If the power grid goes down to 0, this is how I lose. I really like these strong yellow borders around the text. Click to dismiss. Probably dismiss, I always think, is a little bit of a bad word to use. Like, what I want to do, I don't want to dismiss this, I want to continue. So that's probably the word that I would have used. So we click to dismiss. Enemy attacks, every enemy attack is forewarned. Next turn this one will attack the buildings. This is really, really good. And it's also really good that while I'm in this state here, like I have this hover here, I can still move my mouse around. So hover over an enemy to see the details about its attack. Like, this is what it's telling me to do. So I can hover it around, hover over it, but I can also hover over the civilian building, or I can hover over my power. So the tutorial here is not it's not completely on rails. It's just it's taking me step by step through the actions that I'm supposed to do, and then but it still allows me to do a little bit of exploration by myself. So okay, combat mech. So now the combat mech is introduced. It can punch any adjacent tilets. Select your mech now and clicking on it like this. I really, really like this. I click it. It tells me to move it here. I do so. Weapon use the weapon to, you can use the number keys. You can click on a weapon to use it. The number keys will also work as a shortcut. You may not move. So in a new player experience or tutorial, I'm not a huge fan of giving the player an option on how to do this yet. Like, I prefer to just teach them to do it one way. So here we say click on a weapon to use it. The number keys will always also work as a shortcut. So I would probably teach you the action first with the primary kind of path, which is going to be clicking on it here, and then you could do an introductory for all of these advanced or these kind of different ways of doing it a little bit later. Okay, and then it tells you may not move after you've shot a weapon. So shot a weapon, and this is a punch ability. Wording, I mean, it's fine, like it makes sense, I get it. Okay, so here I am presented with, so I punch the enemy, so there's a reticule that appears on my mouse. I can hover over it, and this is actually really cool. So here you can see that when I hover over it, it shows me the 2 number here. It also hovers over these 2 the health points above the unit, but the message here is just telling me punch the enemies. Like, this is what I want to do, and I can see that there's more stuff that happens. Look, so here I think a mistake would have been to try to teach me how to punch the enemy. Like, punch the enemy, this will result in it losing health, and if it loses health, this and that happens. But this is really good. You just punch the enemy, and we see what happens. So I punch the enemy, pushing enemies. Now your max punch pushed this unit. It will now attack a new location. Pushes can save buildings from enemy attacks or even make enemies attack each other. Click to dismiss. So this is cool. This is a really core mechanic of the game, pushing. The only thing that I have a small issue with here is that just the wording of it is that punch and push are such similar words that here it might have been a good idea to try to do something where maybe do the action itself. The punch is the action, because earlier we used the word shot. So the shot is the action, the punch is the action ability, and then pushed is the result of it. We don't talk about here yet that we actually did damage to the unit, so we are actually being taught the push ability before actually damaging it. All right, so now we're getting presented with kind of this big graph that explains the rest of the stuff in detail. And this, I think, is really cool. Like, I got through the sequence itself, I did something, I made I changed something in the world. Like I pressed a button and I punched a unit which pushed something. There were more things that happened, but now I have enough information that this weapons effect kind of infographic or information here, and this makes sense. So pushing the arrow means pushing. I did damage. Okay, I already saw this, so now this makes sense. And pushing plus damage. Some weapons can cause multiple effects on a single tile. Awesome. Okay, when all of your mechs have used an action, there's nothing for you to do other than end your turn. So here it talks about all of your mechs, but I only have a single mech. So this implies that I'm going to have more mechs later, but I would probably not have. I would have just stayed within the context of what we're doing, which is we only have one mech right now, and then once more mechs are introduced, the wording, I would have changed the wording into multiple mechs, all of your mechs. Okay, enemy turn, enemy activity. Okay, so more things are happening. So I have another player turn. The cannon mech, this is your cannon mech. It shoots a projectile that travels in a straight line until you hit another target. So this is cool. I can't fully remember the wording earlier. It shoots a projectile. Otherwise, it shoots a punch. So shooting is probably a word that's for activating an ability. Okay. So this is your cannon mech. It shoots a projectile. Click to it, miss. Okay. So now it's a little bit hands off now, so I don't have anything to do. Like I don't have any action. Nothing is telling me what to do. So this is the point where the new player experience or the tutorial feels that I have enough information that I should be able to figure this out myself. So I know that this is bad. Like I know that I know that once I pushed this unit away before so that it wouldn't hit the houses. So I know that I can make I could do an action. I should go and I should select the unit again and I should punch here. But I just got a new unit, and I can see that the new unit has if I follow the steps that I was taught before. So I know I want to shoot, but I can't move all the way to it. I hover over this the cannon here, and I can see that the whole line here is highlighted when I do that. So I'll just move over here. I'm going to pick the weapon. So I'm going through the same sequence as I did before. And now that I've figured this out, now I get a highlight here saying valid targets. When aiming the weapon at the orange tiles, they show you where you can shoot. So it was a really interesting kind of flip here where, and I think a really good one, where the game told me how to, it made me do something myself. It took me off the rails. And now I saw something that I figured out myself, that the orange tiles show where you can shoot. I had already figured this out, but I guess what I was supposed to do, kind of the sequence that the designers wanted me to do, was to only remember that I can move the unit. They didn't tell me to move the unit, so I chose to do that myself. So I moved the unit here, and now it's telling me that there's a valid target here. And if I shoot, I get the reward, which is now the reward is that I actually killed the unit. I just didn't push the unit, but we saw the unit was pushed. So I feel like this is a pretty cool sequence where I'm taken off the rails a little bit, and I feel really cool now that I destroyed a unit, I did something myself, and I got validation for what I did. Like it told me, okay, yeah, you moved, so now you just do the action, like you got this. So it's building my confidence up a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So if I click this unit, there's nothing I can do with it. I'm going to select this unit now, and I'm going to move it closer, just like I did before. I'm going to pick the ability, and I'm going to punch it. And now I've cleared all of the enemies here, and now you can see, and this is something that I feel like the game should have been using a lot more. Like one of these buttons is actually blinking, so it's pretty clear to me now what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I did this before. They showed me and they taught me what to do, and now I'm supposed to do it again. And this drives my attention up to the end turn button. Okay, so end turn. Okay, so now I'm getting pretty I'm getting pretty kind of used to the sequence itself. Like this is now the third time that I do this. I'm being given a new max, so artillery max. I think I even missed it. I don't know if it was added to the world yet. So they're flipping this up a little bit. So now they are introducing the artillery the artillery max of the artillery weapon. They can shoot over obstacles like mountains, but can't shoot the adjacent tiles. So this is a little bit of an involved ability, but you can see that it's still the same ability, but it's just a variation of it. So it does the same things. It does damage. It damages you over a distance, but the only difference is that this can bypass obstacles, which is something that we didn't really see it, but yeah, it goes over obstacles. It has the push ability as well. So if you do hit something, it will push the enemies to the adjacent tiles. So we're not learning anything, we're not giving anything new. There's no new ability here, but this is just a variation or an advanced version of what we've already been taught, which is really cool. So so now I'm just being presented with this board here. I just pressed OK. I can do this all in the kind of order that I want, and now again I'm giving the option to do something myself. So I'm just going to mimic what they showed me in the tutorial. So I pick my new artillery unit. I'm going to go through the steps that I've already been taught. I'm going to move it, but if I can see that if I move it to the sides, that's not going to help me very much. I want to stay here, but I'm still going to move it. I'm going to move over here. I'm going to pick it, and I'm going to shoot it here. I want to push these two ones out, and I want to damage this. This feels like the most optimal way of playing. Awesome. So I did something right. Drowning units. This unit fell into the water and killing it instantly. So it's just pointing at the water. So if I missed this, it's just pointing at a water tile. But like I was so focused on what I was doing because it's such an impactful event that I noticed it. So, okay, cool. So now I need to deal with this one. And now I have a choice. I have two units. I can either use this unit here and I can move it over here and I can shoot it over here. Or I can take this unit here and if I punch it over here, that's also a choice. So I think this is also the first time that I'm giving an actual choice on how do I solve this strategically. So I'm just going to use this unit here because, yeah, just picked one at random. Okay, so now there are no enemies here. And if I look at the board, like I'm not 100% sure what I'm supposed to do. So now I have to think a little bit. There's one unit here left that has this little icon here, but now I feel like I'm a little bit stuck. So this is an area where I feel like I am in the new player experience or the tutorial. So I really should be presented with what I'm supposed to do next too, because if I can't, I have to search a little bit for what I'm supposed to do next. So this unit still has to act. I can press and turn, and all right, so if I press and turn, it tells me that I still have an action available, but there's nothing for me to do. Like I can move, or so if I move here, I can do that. If I shoot, maybe I just shoot the mountain. So this is an area that I can do things still in the world, but there's no benefit in it for me. So now I just feel a little bit dumb. Like, what's the action that I did? I just shot a mountain. Does that do anything? I'm not sure. So I have this feeling of like I'm a little bit kind of insecure now because I'm not 100% sure if I did what I was doing is the right thing or not. So I'm just going to go and end turn. All right, more units being presented. Okay. So now we see that the all right, so now, okay, so now this is, we've done this a couple of times, so now we're being presented with the win condition. The first thing that we were presented with was the power grid here, and the power grid hasn't really come into play because I've been following the tutorial and nothing really has happened. So the power grid was introduced, early on as the loose condition in the world, but we didn't really have anything to do. Like, it hasn't been affected yet. So now we have the every mission we win by surviving until the wreck retreat. Okay, so victory in 4 turns. I've been presented with these concept of the turns. If I do end turn here, now I can see that by hovering over end turn, it's going to tell me that I have 3 units with actions available. So I'm just going to dismiss this. Bonus objectives. Missions also have bonus objectives. Completing this will earn you the additional resources after the battle. So this is really interesting, I feel like, because I'm still in the tutorial, but and tutorials can be really boring sometimes if you're just trying to accomplish some predefined goals. But now I'm being presented with an extra goal. And it's also kind of putting my focus again to to actually going in and playing the game. Completing this will earn you additional resources after the battle. That has to be good. We haven't been introduced to any of the resources or anything like that, but we just know that bonus objectives and additional resources like this has to be good. Okay, so now I need to figure out what to do. So I have 3 units here. I know I can kill this one here. I cannot kill this one here. I have this unit here, and I feel like this unit is the best if I target as many units as I can. So and this unit just shoots straights. So I'm actually being presented with a pretty complicated scenario here, and I think it's very unlikely that I'm going to be able to do this without taking any damage. So I'm just going to do the most straightforward thing that I can think of. I'm going to move my artillery unit here because I want to do the same thing as I did earlier. I want to do as much damage as possible. I want to hit 2 units here without hitting my own. So I'm going to do this. All right. So now what happened was that I actually moved the Firefly unit, or this unit here, over to the push. Actually pushed it over, so now it's targeting these buildings here. And according to the red thing here and what we've been taught earlier, this is bad. So now I'm a little bit worried that I messed up. So now I can either go here and I can push this down into the ocean like I've learned before, or I can go over here and I can push this and probably kill it. Yeah, I can kill it. So that's interesting. But then I have 2 other units here. I have this unit, which is targeting me, and I have this unit here that's being targeted, that's targeting... so this unit's not targeting anything. This unit is targeting me. So this is not a threat. So you can see that I'm already presented with a really, really big kind of scenario. So I've played the game before. So maybe I'm a little bit more... like I understand the scenario a little bit more. So I'm going to just try to make moves that are... kind of, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna push this one because this kills it. Okay, all of my units have now done, have now acted. So I'm gonna do end turn and see what happens. Okay, so now I took damage. This is a new concept for me. You can see everything is kind of blinking red, and the graphics is actually really cool. Your max will automatically repair all damage after battle. So they focus on in the messaging saying, okay, so you took damage, but it's fine. Like, it's going to be cool. Like, don't worry too much about it. If you finish this, your mech is going to be repaired. So they try to drag you up again to something positive. If a mech is reduced to 0 health, you're going to get killed. All right. Building damage. This building tile was damaged, so your city power grid was reduced. Your primary goal is to prevent this. So my primary goal is not to have my power grid get removed. We can see that we lost 1 unit here. I actually missed it when I was looking at this. We can see the building is damaged, but again, we're kind of putting focus again on the beginning of the on the loose condition. Okay, so now I get to act again. So I'm gonna go here and I'm just gonna do the most most simple moves. I'm gonna go and fire on this one. I'm gonna go just closer, and I'm gonna fire on this one, and I'm just gonna go here and punch this one. Okay. So I'm just making the most kind of straightforward moves. All right. So I lose another point of power grid, and I take more damage. And we keep going. I have 2 turns left. I've already lost 2 power grid. So I'm gonna go closer here. But now this is all starting to happen a little bit faster. So I feel like I'm getting into the cycle of it. Like, so I'm getting a feel for how these how the turns are working. So the enemies do something, and then they move, they attack, and I do something. So now I'm just gonna go here and attack. I'm gonna take this one here. I'm gonna move it over here, and I'm gonna attack. Okay. So now we can see that the kill all enemies before the retreat bonus objective has been kind of hovered. I didn't get any notification or anything like that, and I'm still stuck because I still have a unit that can act, which like I feel like I did something really cool. I've already killed all of the enemies or destroyed all of the enemies, and I really would have wanted a little bit of fanfare to celebrate it, because like this was a tough battle. Like I did something new, but it doesn't really reward me with it because, yeah, I still have units to move. So I'm just going to do random moves that don't feel good. I'm going to end my turn. And now I get the victory and mission completed. So I kind of feel like this would have been something that I should have gotten right away. So congratulations on your first successful mission, Commander. I'm confident in your ability to save the planet after such extensive training. Civilians protected. This number is a high number, which I like, but I have no relevance of why this is good or bad. Yeah, I'm in the simulation, so yeah, it doesn't really tell me much. I'm just going to do continue. So now I have a damaged power grid. The power grid connects every corporate island. Any damage it takes in missions will persist. The VAC caused damage before you arrived, but there will be opportunities to restore it. So it's unfortunate, I think, that the way that I finished the combat simulation earlier ended me up in the same power grid amount that I'm starting the campaign with. So now we get an introduction for any mission rewards. We got introduced with this a little bit earlier, with the bonus rewards. Reactor cores, upgrade your max grid power, or corp reputation to purchase items. Like right now, I don't know what any of these do, but I like to be able to upgrade my max. I understand that the power is the victory or the lose condition, and purchasing items once the island is secure. I don't know anything about that, but these are just things that I will be able to learn when I go forward. And here's a warning: the missions with more rewards have additional dangers, so there's a risk reward element to this. All right, so now I've actually finished the new player experience of the tutorial, and we're ready to jump into the game. So so I'm gonna stop now. This was a brief overview of kind of getting into the new player experience, just walking through the new player experience of Into the Breach. It is a really cool game, and I highly recommend anyone playing it. I've actually played it myself quite a lot. So if you enjoyed this, please let me know. If there's something that you disagree with, I'd love to hear it. I mean, these are just my opinions, and this is my based on my experience as a game developer. And if you like to see more other games that I can feature, or other features of games that you'd like to see, just let me know in the comments. But other than that, thank you.